Hello and welcome to this week's Advertisers Watching Ads. My name is Amy Wright and I'm the Client Strategy Director at Automated Creative, this week hosting for Tom Ollerton, who is on his summer holidays. We are coming to you this week with partners Contagious once again to talk about a new case study for KFC. But before we kick into the details, I want to get you to meet our guests this week.
Hi, my name is Akash. I currently work at Humana. I've been in marketing for 20 years and I've worked at Accenture and McDonald's. So excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Sean. So I'm digital marketing manager here at the Gym Group. I guess my main roles are looking after a lot of the paid media that we do. So showcasing the ads, showcasing what the Gym Group has to offer.
Great. So that leads us to this week's case study, from quick service retailer to ultimate in fine dining experience. And this case study kind of showcases the range of what it means to be a quality brand, how you move taste perceptions, and I think spark a really interesting debate about the difference between paid media and earned media and where we play today with that type of activity. So without further ado, let's see the case study.
20,000 finger-licking fans registered for the restaurant waitlist. We're hearing it's pretty fancy. What's the process? Where do you start?
Over the past year, we've been in and out of the test kitchen at KFC and we were working on this menu. There's also building a restaurant from scratch. We also had to build a kitchen and bring equipment in to make that. And when all these pieces came together, it's created an amazing experience for our guests.
Guys, get this. KFC Australia is launching an 11-course fine dining menu with the wine pairing. Yeah. Most fine dining meals don't come with the spork. You know that? That's true.
You just have to lick the plates.
You lick the plate?
It's an 11-course degustation.
Akash, you have to travel to Australia, down under.
The world's first fine dining KFC.
I want it every night of my life.
One of the best fried chickens you ever get.
Chicken drumstick, but dusted with gold.
That basically
Gold nuggets.
All
for it.
Fuck you, food snobs.
What a silly, hilarious thing for grown-ups to do. I love it.
It was really fucking good.
So as is tradition, we ask you both for a mark out of 5. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm giving a full 5. It's very rare I give 5. So 5 from me, 2 4s from the guys. Guys, what was your initial impressions of the case study?
So generally speaking, I was like, wow, what a cool idea. Certainly got a ton of attention for it as well. And the food looked good. What I was thinking about from an objective perspective, I wonder if their intent was new audience. One of the things I know a little bit about from KFC is that, generally speaking, if you think of, fine dining and you think of like who you're trying to reach, KFC probably has a core audience that probably doesn't go to fine dining. So I think that almost in a way, it could be a brilliant idea because they're trying to create these new occasions with new diners. And that's a huge growth strategy, right? So from that perspective, I really loved it. The fact that they reached so many people and grabbed a lot of attention, I would hope to think that some of those people actually trickled in and visited KFC after they, saw this stuff.
Yeah, I really loved it as well. I thought when you see them, the perception of them is fast food and just like greasy food. And so just changing the perception of that they can be fine dining was really interesting. And I thought also what was fascinating, just how much got picked up. You know, it was originally in Australia and it's getting picked up by, I think it was Jimmy Fallon in the US. I thought that was so fascinating that they've done such a good job of spreading their earned media with the idea that it looked like a great ad. As Akash said, like the core audience is quite interesting though, because that definitely wouldn't be KFC's core audience. It's really fine dining. Like I was reading the intricacies of it, and it was like they were giving out like $200 Australian dollar like bottles of champagne and stuff. And it's just like, oh wow, that's like next level. So it is quite fascinating to figure out, like, were they trying to grow their audience? Was that their aim, or was it purely this quality perception? But from start to finish, I thought it was really, really fascinating. And I think it was just on trend and really shareable. And so they've done such a good job of that.
The media pickup this got was something else. Do you think that was the inevitable outcome? Was that very much designed by the campaign? What are your thoughts there?
Influencers have started to really kind of help brands drive reach, drive credibility, be a part of culture. Marketing has always said, we want to be at the speed of culture, right? That's our job. We have to understand culture and we have to be a part of it, because that helps us persuade and break through the noise. Brands and influencers are sort of intertwined. Things are getting a little more complicated. Things are getting a little bit more combined. I think with this case, you have less of that. Jimmy Fallon was probably an after effect, or he could have been part of the partnership. We don't know the answer to that. But I think that that's an interesting piece. And I think that's where brands should aspire, is if you can get a part of culture, get an influencer involved or two, you're going to really kind of propel your brand forward and probably see some results that you just can't do through paid media.
I agree, influencers have such a huge part. They're almost like the new celebrities, because I think celebrity endorsement, it's not as like respected anymore, because I feel like people know celebrities just getting paid a lot for it. And I think for this sort of campaign that KFC were running, I think they were going for like this earned media approach. And I think for the idea that they had, that worked perfectly. I would question whether this campaign from KFC delivered much commercial value, like apart from just increasing their quality perception. So if they were going purely for sort of sales and increasing their growth, like, would this campaign have delivered that for them? Or is it just them increasing their quality perception so maybe they can increase their prices? So it's quite an interesting one, whereas I think paid media delivers more from a commercial perspective than potentially like this earned media approach.
How do you as marketers kind of generate this kind of ideas? It's a big ask, I think, for any internal team or client to kind of firstly back this, secondly hand over creative control to someone completely different, thirdly mess around with the core components of a brand. Like there's some big asks here. So how do marketers now do these types of campaigns? Like how would you approach this internally?
I think internally speaking, as a marketer, I think you want to say, are there some good times to swing, for the fences? The other coaching I would say is that, how are you going to persevere? Because there's going to be many, many times when people doubt it. Can you kind of build that perseverance and get through that to sort of see some of these big ideas come to life? And the last piece of advice, I think I gave this to some college students a long time ago, was like, sometimes it just doesn't work out and that's okay. You got to get up and try again.
It's really backing the idea 100%, not just like, okay, well, we're going to do this idea, but not really back it or push it anywhere. And I think that's what KFC have done really well as well, that they've really backed the idea and spread the news wide and far.
We really exist in a world now where you can put a potentially a very functional brief about increasing quality perceptions in a local market, and that has a global impact and a global reach on the effect for the brand. How the hell do you navigate that? And how are you working with agencies to deliver that? And how are you thinking about ideas that have both that very local purpose, but also that much, much bigger scope and scale to them?
Everything is changing so quickly. So really making sure that you're, like, when you're working with those agencies, they are really up to date. And like, you want to be working with the best agencies who are always on trend, because realistically, brands can't keep up to date with these things and they need external help. Like, you can't have, for me, I've got to look after so many things. I can't keep up to date with what's happening on TikTok right now. And that's where you need those sort of specialist agencies who can really help you. But I think also just being really like clear on your briefs and your objectives, like not over briefing with so many of different objectives that it's really hard to understand. If you give them a really clear brief with a clear objective, then they can go out there and be creative with that one objective.
I think there's some sensitivity to things that go global, but as long as it's within the realm of, what the brand stands for, where the brand wants to go, I think there's going to be some localization, as you call it. The world is much flatter now than it ever was. We have a lot of different things to care for. But I think that's kind of the fun aspect of it. I think if you can get involved in some campaigns where you can work with your global partners that can be really fun because you're kind of learning about cultures in different areas. You're activating in different ways. You're seeing how the brand comes to life in a different country. That's the fun of it.
So thank you everybody this week for watching Advertisers Watching Ads. I've been your host and our fantastic guests, Sean and Akash, and we have loved talking about the KFC case study. See you next week. Bye.